to the next speakers, I'm just going to guide you through the agenda so you know more or less what you can expect in the next sessions. So we start with a welcoming introduction from our head of consumer sector, Gorana Ksikapa. Then we will have a policy context session with colleagues from DG Just. It's very important that you also have the context on the policy for this call. We will then have an overview of the call for proposals. There is a colleague from my unit, the SMP and Consumers unit, that will dive a bit deeper on the main elements of the call. We have here the finance team, so two colleagues from the financial team will give you some more tips and tricks for the financial part. Then we'll have at 11 o'clock a networking session. We had an info session for the previous call for proposal last year, and in the satisfaction survey, we received feedback that many of you were happy with this networking session. And as this call for proposals also incentivizes consortia, we thought it's an important element to also allow in this info session half an hour for you to connect with each other, to look for partners, to share ideas in case you already have some, and just to get you to know each other. And then after the networking session, we will have 25 minutes to address any questions you might have. In case we are not able to reply to all of your questions, do not worry, we will follow up with the questions and answers via email after the event. And then the call, the info session is going to end at 12 o'clock. So it's going to be 2 intense hours. At the moment, these are the most important information to know from a practical point of view. So I will give the floor to my colleague Gorana to address you. Warm welcome.
Thank you, Salva. And dear applicants, good morning. My name is Gorana Kršikapa. I am head of sector of ISMEA SMP Consumers. On behalf of ISMEA, I would like to welcome you to this year's info session for the call for proposals for action grants to provide financial contributions to ADR bodies and RAD qualified entities. We hope that you will find this info session useful, and please do not hesitate to ask any questions you might have. We are looking forward to receiving as many proposals as possible under this call, and welcome once again, and thank you for being with us here today. I'm giving the floor back to my colleague Salva. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gorana. Let's go to the next point of our agenda. So the policy context, we have with us Stephanie Darmanin from DG Just. She will focus on the ADR part and guide you through the main novelties on this field. And we will have also our colleague Malgorzata Posnov-Hurm from DG Just, who will focus on the RAD part. So I'm giving the floor to Stephanie. Please, Stephanie.
Thank you, Salva, and good morning to everyone. And once again, welcome to the next, I would say, ADR info session. This has been a yearly event for us because we've been giving out these grants since 2018, and I think this has been a very good initiative by the Commission to ensure that the consumer redress is very much up to standard. I have to say that even now, last month, we saw the Council conclusions on the consumer agenda, and we saw that even the Member States have also called for a good alternative dispute resolution, and in the sense a cost-effective one and a high-quality redress mechanism for the consumers. So in the next slide, I will walk you through the updates that we did in the ADR directive. As you know, last year, we finalized the negotiations with the Council and the Parliament on the review of the ADR directive, and it has been published now on the EURLEX as well. You have the link on the slide. And on the 19th of January, it has become also adopted and enforced, I would say. So what are the main elements of the changes that we introduced in this review? First of all, we extended the material scope, meaning that many other consumer disputes which were not originally covered by the ADR directive, now they are also covered in the ADR directive. And these are disputes which stem from contracts or for the digital content or digital services where the consumer Sorry, I think I muted myself, where the consumer does not pay a price but provides personal data to the trader. So this was the first element that we changed. Secondly, a big element, I would say, that was highly discussed in council, it was the extension of the geographical scope. Now there are conditions where if they are met, the consumer can proceed with an ADR dispute against even third country traders. And of course, just to make it clear and not creating much more workload for the ADR entities, the conditions are that the trader has already accepted to follow the outcome of the ADR entity, and both the trader and the consumer are willing to go for the ADR. So these are the conditions, and then there are other conditions that the member states can also introduce to make sure that the workload for the ADR entities remain at a good standard. I would say that doesn't really go beyond the thresholds. Then we introduced a new obligation for traders to make sure that also the ADR remains attractive for them to boost their participation. And we introduced this obligation that they have the duty to reply, meaning that we are not introducing mandatory ADR, but we are introducing the idea that the traders have to reply to these ADR inquiries to make sure that they mention their intention on whether they want to participate in the ADR process or not. And this is within 20 working days. For some ADR architectures, this was not really necessary because they already have mandatory ADR, but for others, this was a very good element to introduce in this review. Then, to make sure that the ADR remains a cost-effective approach, we introduced the idea that some ADR entities can also bundle similar disputes when the same elements and the same traders are in the equation. And this seems to be quite welcoming by many member states, because when you have the same elements, for example, if a flight is delayed, for example, many elements are similar to all the consumers, and therefore it makes sense to bundle these. And like this, it will be more cost effective, of course, and also the outcome most likely is more consistent. And we also introduced some safeguards for consumers and traders in case ADR entities use digital tools. So in this case, in the event, for example, that the AI that they use has an impact on the outcome of the decision, for example, we stress the importance of the balance between the human review and the use of the digital tools. We also introduced the ADR contact points. This is a new element in the impact assessment and in the evaluation. We realized that many consumers do not go for ADR because of complex procedures or the costs involved. And therefore, to this new element of ADR contact points, where we see that many ECCs, European Consumer Centers, are going to be designated in the coming months, they will be in the best place to assist consumers and traders in cross-border disputes. And we think that ECCs will be a very good option because, of course, they are the experts in cross-boarding in the way they handle cross-border disputes. In the next slide, I will outline what are the next steps. So the transposition deadline is the 28th March 2028, and by the date, the member states must adopt and publish the necessary national measures and communicate them to the Commission. Of course, these elements were the ones reflected in the first slide. They have to designate the ADR contact points and notify them to the Commission. And also they have to apply these measures from the 20th September 2028. So there are two different days. There is a transposition and the applicability of the measures, which are different. But this was what was agreed at political trialogues. In the next slide, I will also mention what are the ADR actions at EU level. So this year we are working on the new Commission Redress portal. This is the portal which will be replacing the ODR platform that we had before, because part of the review, as you know, we discontinued the ODR platform because of the repeal of the ODR regulation. And therefore, now in this review, the Commission has the obligation to manage this portal where all the ADR entities will remain to be listed there. And if you click on the link provided in this slide, you will already find the list of ADR entities there. And we plan that we introduce other elements in this redress portal to make it more user-friendly for the consumers, to make sure that they are signposted to the best ADR entity or other redress possibility, I would say. The idea is that we encourage the ADR entities also to promote this portal, and even the European consumer centers or other consumer bodies at national level. And even, of course, the Commission will try to promote it as much as possible. It's going to be a multilingual portal, so it's very similar to what we had the ODR platform, but it's no longer this matchmaking element that there was behind the ODR platform. This year, in view of the fact that member states are transposing at the moment the ADR directive, we plan to organize an ADR transposition workshop for the ADR competent authorities. We're not sure exactly about the logistics, but it will be this year. And we will also invite the enlargement partners for this workshop, because we know that they are also working on their ADR legislation. The ADR competent authorities this year, they will also submit the ADR national report by 1st of November. Before it was July, but then through the negotiations, we extended this deadline to November, because many times the ADR competent authorities will be still collecting this information. These reports are sent to the Commission every 4 years, and the objective is to outline the challenges, the improvements in ADR over a period of 4 years. So the last one was sent to us in 2022, and this year we will also ask them to submit some statistical data about disputes resolved at national level by each ADR entity. So therefore, my point is that you should be contacted by the ADR competent authority very shortly to provide information about your ADR entity in terms of statistics, the challenges you are facing, any new improvements that you introduced in the past 4 years, and whatnot. And the last point is that it would be also interesting if you had to go to the list of ADR entities, the one that I told you in the new Commission redress portal, and you check whether all the data about your ADR entity is correct or not. And if you would like to update any of this information, you should contact the ADR competent authority, and it will contact us to do the necessary changes. What I'm saying by changes here are, for example, whether the outcome is binding or not binding, whether the information about the costs are correct, whether the languages, the working languages you use as an ADR entity are correct or not, the contact details, and whatnot. So there is, you will find all this information on the Commission redress portal, and it would be nice if you had to check it so that the consumers, when they go there, they find the most updated information about your ADR entity. And in the next slide, good. So we come back to the ADR grants. The main objective of today's meeting is that the Commission is allocating once again 1.5 million. This is a joint call for grants, so for the ADR entities and for the qualified entities under the Representative Actions Directive. And what do we expect? We expect very good quality proposals from the ADR entities, and because, of course, as you can imagine, this is a highly competitive call nowadays, because it has been promoted quite a lot, and we have more than 400 ADR entities that are eligible to apply, and therefore we ask for good quality proposals in terms of raising awareness on ADR, to improve the capacity building, in terms even the fact that some new elements are being introduced through the review, and maybe your staff would need more training on this, to develop digital infrastructure, because even in the review itself, we pushed a lot for inclusive tools, inclusive digital tools, and use of digital tools to make sure that ADR remains cost effective, as I said before, and also to increase the consistency between the outcomes. And also a very interesting element is to establish ADR networks. We know that, for instance, for cross-border ADR disputes, these networks are very much I would say, fruitful for the resolution of these disputes. I also include our functional mailbox in case you would like to know more about ADR or what is the Commission doing, or whether you would like to contact us on anything related to this. You can contact us on just adr@ec.europa.eu. So I leave it up to here with regards to ADR. I think I kept it as short as possible, and I give the floor to my colleague Malgorzata, and in the event of any questions, you can also, send questions through the Slido, which my colleague already referred to in her presentation. Thank you for now.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you for being with us today. My name is Małgorzata Posnow-Wurm. I work in the same unit as Stephanie, and I'm in charge of the Representative Actions Directive. I'm here today to share with you very briefly some insights on our policy objectives underlying the call to qualified entities designated under the Representative Actions Directive for this year proposals for action grants. These policy objectives are enumerated in our call for proposals, but we thought it would be beneficial to repeat, to underline within this meeting that our first, most important objective is to build a strong community of qualified entities. We truly believe that by cooperating with each other, you will contribute to effective and consistent application of representative actions across the EU. Therefore, we call on you to take advantage of EC React, a collaboration platform that we created for you and other actors dealing with representative actions. We have several webinars with members of the judiciary. We are developing a practical guide for judges that will be also available to you at some point in EC React. You will find there the extensive materials on national laws transposing the directive across the EU. You will find there the overview of actions already brought, representative actions already brought across the EU. You will find there the information on the action grants already funded within the 2 previous editions of the present call for proposals. And most importantly, all range of tools that allow you to cooperate with other qualified entities. We believe that thanks to such cooperation, you may render your projects more effective, more efficient, to serve not only your activities, but to serve all consumers across the EU. And that is the reason for which we would like you to consult your projects and deliverables with other qualified entities, even before you start, even before you propose your actions. We would like you to build on previous projects funded by EU funds to avoid overlaps, not to spend the really precious funding for activities and tools that are already developed by other qualified entities. We would like you to share your deliverables of your projects with other qualified entities via EC React throughout the entire time of the project, so that we really all save costs and time and benefit from each other's expertise. Please remember that joint projects presented by ADR entities and qualified entities under Representative Actions Directive are very much welcomed. We do believe that you may work together. You may work together on complaints, on mass claims management, on consumer information, and again share expertise for better enforcement of consumer law and effective redress. As I said at the start, all the above policy objectives are at the same time our priorities that will guide us when evaluating the proposals for projects of this year edition of the call. and we really hope that all your proposals will respond to these objectives. We are here to answer all your questions. All eligible activities are enumerated in the call document. These are similar to this presented by Stephanie for ADR strands, consumer information, increase of their awareness on representative actions, efficient management of mass claims, possibly IT tools, building networks. We will see each other in a minute in the breakout session, and then I'm thanking you and passing the floor to ASMA colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Stephanie for her presentation and for guiding us all through the main novelties introduced by the ADR directive. Thanks, Malgorzata, for the policy context on RAD and for the precious tips that you shared with the applicants. Just for the participants, I'm sharing again here the Slido QR code in case this presentation triggered any questions that you would like to include and to let us know. We will then address at the end of the session. I will now give the floor to my colleague Petra, who will provide you an overview of the call for proposals, highlighting the main elements and also highlighting the novelties of this call compared to the previous ones, and hopefully giving some interesting elements that can enhance quality of proposals. So Petra, the floor is yours.
Good morning. My name is Petra Smeltova. I'm project advisor in consumers unit of ISMEA, and as my colleague Salva already highlighted, I will guide you through the call conditions and the main points that you have to remember. So for this year ADR RAD call for proposals, we have earmarked the budget of 1.5 million. Funding rate is 80% of the total eligible costs. So this remains the same as last year, as well as the maximum duration of the actions, that is 24 months. You can, of course, propose an action that its duration is less. Next slide, please. Here we have an indicative timeline. We opened the call on 24th of February 2026 on the Funding and Tenders portal. So now there is a submission phase open, which will last approximately 3 months until 21st of May this year at 5 o'clock Brussels time in the afternoon. So please bear this deadline in mind because then the submission will not be possible any longer. We envisage, or we plan the evaluation between May and August, so partially in summer, and at the end of summer 26 we would dispatch all the results to all applicants, whether they are proposed for funding or not. For those proposals that are proposed for funding, we would invite them to prepare their grant agreement. This phase lasts approximately 2 to 3 months, so we expect to finish this, to do this within September to November and end it before this year ends. Next slide, please. So objective of the call, there are several objectives, of course, but the main is to facilitate the consumer's access to the effective alternative dispute resolution and ADR bodies, as well as to build the capacity of the qualified entities to protect consumers' collective interests pursuant the directive, Representative Actions Directive. So this, as already Stephanie highlighted and Malgorzata in their presentations, so focus would be on awareness raising on the ADR and representative actions in general, The aim is also by this call to protect the vulnerable consumers, to build the networks of ADR and RAD entities, whether it is on national or on EU level. There is also an important element, which is capacity building to support enhancing expertise of staff of ADR bodies and RAD entities, and to support them in use of digital tools and efficient case handling, etc. Next slide, please. What we expect with this call. So the results of the project should contribute to the awareness rising of the ADR and RAD systems to consumers and also to traders, to support cooperation between ADR and RAD entities, as I already mentioned, to increase the accessibility of both schemes, also in the cross-border context, and to increase the operational capacity and the expertise of ADR and RAD entities. So, next slide. We are coming closer to the eligible activities. These are not exhaustive. This is not an exhaustive list. So just a couple of examples or areas where you can make your proposal. So you can focus, for example, on awareness raising activities, such as campaigns, other communication activities, or even translations. Then what is also beneficial to create the networks, broaden the cooperation between ADR entities and RAD qualified entities, to further develop or improve your case handling system, case handling tools, everything that may increase your efficiency is welcome, as well as accounting tools and services. You can also focus on training of your staff and exchange the best practices, for example, in the form of study visits or seminars, workshops, whatever, in person or online, whichever form is welcome. And you can also, one of the possible areas, it can be to do some analysis, statistical analysis on consumer complaints, or focus on studies or trainings in mass harm situations. Next slide, please. Who is eligible? So first of all, these are all the legal entities established in an EU member state, but also in countries associated to the Single Market Program that fulfill the following conditions. By the way, the countries associated to the Single Market Program, and notably to the consumer strength, is currently Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Turkey. So what is important, it is to be an alternative dispute resolution entity notified to the European Commission. You can find yourself on the website of the Commission of the alternative dispute resolution bodies, or to be a qualified entity designated by the EU member state pursuant to the Representative Actions Directive, or to come from to be an a body designated in line with the ADR directive, and to be placed in one of the countries that signed the associated agreement to implement the Single Market Program and the Consumer Pillar. Next slide, please. The same, so coming from the third countries associated to the Single Market Program and the Consumer Pillar, when you act as according to a representative actions directive. And finally, there is a possibility of an ad hoc designation if only in the member states where it is allowed, according to the representative actions directive. However, in this case, you have to provide us with the proof that you comply with the eligibility conditions, especially in this case. Next slide, please. As it was already mentioned, we enhance or we encourage the collaboration among the ADR and RAD entities, so the joint applications are welcome. There are several scenarios. You can build consortia of 2 or several ADR entities, which would promote the cross-border cooperation about these entities, which is highly encouraged, or among 2 RAD qualified entities, either in the same member state or different member states. So you can promote the domestic or cross-border cooperation. And as already said, what is recommended is to build the consortia via EC React even before submitting the applications. And the third case, you can have a joint application of an ADR entity or entities and RAD qualified entities to build some practical coherence between these two schemes. Next slide, please. Here we have some financial and operational capacity criteria, because in order to apply for a grant under this call, you have to fulfill the financial capacity to have a stable and sufficient resources to be able to successfully implement the project. And also, if you have several projects, to just bear in mind to have the sufficient resources for all the projects that you implement or that you envisage to implement. The central validation services will request some proof of your financial capacity, such as profit and loss accounts or other audit documents or similar. Who is obliged to submit them are all the entities that ask for a grant, except for public bodies, or for those that ask for a grant lower than 60,000 euros. Besides this, the applicants should have also a good operational capacity, good know-how, qualifications, and resources to be able to successfully implement their projects. And this criterion, this capacity, will be assessed together with the quality award criterion, and on the basis of the competence and experience of the applicants and their project teams. Next slide, please. Furthermore, there are admissibility criteria. So especially pay attention to this. These are more formal criteria, but anyway, it is important that you know about them. So first of all, it is the deadline. So please submit your application within the deadline, 21st of May, 17. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Brussels time. Don't wait for the last minute. There might be some disruptions, technical problems, etc. You have to submit your application only through Funding and Tenders portal. There is no other possibility to submit your proposal. And there are 2 obligatory annexes, which is technical description, part B, and detailed budget table. And the technical description shouldn't be longer than 70 pages, because if you go over 70 pages, there will be on the rest of the pages a watermark will appear, and we will not be able to see the text of your proposal. You should also respect the maximum duration of the action, which is 24 months, otherwise you will be rejected. And here it is clearly said that failure to comply with these requirements will lead to the rejection of your applications. Next slide, please. Then we have award criteria. So there we go to the assessment of the quality of your proposal. We have 4 award criteria, which is relevance, quality of the project design and implementation, how you envisage to implement, and all the coherence of your proposal, objectives, impact, etc. Well, impact is the separate one, sorry. Quality of the project team, everything concerning the consortium, or if you are a sole beneficiary, how you organize your team and cooperation within the team, whether it is efficient, risk management, etc. And finally, impact of your action. Overall score is 60 points out of 100, but in each criterion you have to reach at least 60% of each criterion. Next slide, please. As already mentioned, so my colleagues already highlighted the cooperation that is important, or this is the beginning when you have a project idea and you would like to submit the proposal, but maybe you would like to collaborate with someone else or enrich your idea. So what we recommend is to either use our breakout session to get to know other entities, or even start building or have any exchanges, first exchanges if you have on your project ideas. And then you can also use the funding and tenders portal to see, for example, what were the projects funded in the last calls, last year or calls, what subjects, what were the deliverables, and like this you can also get inspiration. However, what we want to highlight are some elements that would increase the quality of your proposal. So first of all, we expect structured cooperation, so to encourage the well-planned cooperation already at the beginning, when you are at the phase of the concept of your project. So thinking carefully thinking of your project objectives, deliverables, progress, results, and everything like this. And you can use the EC React tool for this, especially for the RAD qualified entities, but also ADR entities if it's beneficial for them, and they can also ask for access to it. Then we expect detailed needs analysis, so especially to align your action with the EU legislation objectives, to emphasize the added value compared to the state of play, and also, if possible, coordinate and align with the previous grants, and expanding and build upon the previous grants, either submitted by you or even by someone else. And we also encourage the reusability of results, so make the action reusable as much as possible for the others, because like this, this will facilitate also work of the others, and whole community can benefit from the results of the action. And in this case, then propose a detailed plans how to facilitate the reuse. For example, again, through the EC React. In any case, you have to clearly explain complementarity of your proposal compared to the previously funded actions, and especially if you already participated in last year's calls, ADR or ADR and RAD call. Next slide, please. Here briefly, I would like to stop at the presentation of the funding and tenders portal and application documents. Next slide, please. So maybe as you already know, or if you are applying for the first time as a beneficiary, you must register in the participant register before submitting the proposal. And your entity will be validated by the Central Validation Services. It is the Research Executive Agency Validation Service that is in charge of the validation. And don't be surprised, you will be asked to upload several documents, like a proof of your status, etc. And notably, in case you are a qualified entities designated pursuant the Representative Actions Directive. If you want more detailed guidance on this point, we recommend you to listen to the last year info session, and particularly between 58 and between the minute 58 and 1 hour, there is a colleague from RAD that is explaining the validation process and the participant register and what is needed to be submitted. Next slide, please. So as briefly mentioned, there are application in concerning application documents. You will go to the Funding and Tenders portal, to the call page, click on Start Submission, and you will get to the page where you will start filling the application. So first, you need to fill in the acronym and short summary of your project, and you will start filling the administrative forms that are directly embedded on the portal. So you directly fill it online. For the annexes, Part B and the detailed budget, so Part B, the technical proposal and the detailed budget, you will be able to download the templates there. It is on the left side. You will fill them offline on your computer, and once they are ready at the final stage, you can upload them and submit your proposal. There are two mandatory annexes, this Part B technical one and the detailed budget table. However, there is also room for other annexes. What is useful is the list of previous projects like this. You also facilitate our evaluation, and we can cross-check with other proposals where you got funding. And we also encourage you to submit the proof of your eligibility that you are either ADR body or RAD entity. Like this, it will also accelerate the evaluation process. Next slide, please. And I think that I'm at the end of my presentation, or my part of the presentation. So on the call page on the Funding and Tenders portal, you will find all the documents, in particular the call documents, call for proposals documents, guide for applicants, model grant agreement, other model template documents, also for the project implementation, etc. Annotated grant agreement, which is very useful for later when you want to build your budget, which costs are eligible and which are not eligible. For any IT-related questions, we recommend you to contact directly the Funding and Tenders portal, IT help desk. And for all the technical questions concerning the call, subject, eligibility, eligible activities, eligible applicants, etc., you can contact us on the email address asmeaconsgrants at EC-Europa.eu, and this by 14th of May 2026, again by 5 5 o'clock Brussels time. And I thank you very much for your attention, and I give the floor back to Salva.
Thank you very much, Petra, for this exhaustive presentation. I'm putting again on the screen the QR code for questions in case you have collected any in the meantime. And if I may, just adding a couple of extra tips for the potential applicants, just make sure to have very well-structured proposals with well-structured work packages and deliverables that are well explained and linked to the work packages. Another important element, the timeline. It must be well thought and must be feasible. And as an anticipation of the next topic, which is the financial part, the financial part of the proposals needs to also be very well delineated and make sure to explain also the technical parts if there are elements which must be explained. For example, if you include subcontracting, explaining the technical part, how you are going to ensure transparently procure subcontractors and so on. But now I will give the floor to experienced colleagues from the financial team, Jacopo Bertini and Mariangela Bartolomeo, who will go more into the detail on the financial part and the documents that you will need to submit. Jacopo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Salva, and good morning, everybody. My name is Jacopo Bertini. I work with Mariangela Bartolomeo as a financial officer in the ASMEA operational finance team. Today, I'm going to explain to you a little bit more details about the detailed budget table. So we can start with the next slide. As you can see, we have two types of documents that we can submit. The one is a summarized budget table, which is the high-level budget, and it is an online form that you will apply directly as an application with the form part A. When it comes to the detailed budget table instead, this is a file that you have to download, you have to fill, and you have to follow the guides, and then you will upload it as an annex to the form B. Don't worry, it's a step-by-step process. For those who have already experience, we are happy to assist you. For those who don't have experience, we are happy to give you some context now, but we can explain it a little bit later, more into the details. What is important is that those two budgets, by definition, they need to match. And the old submission is a digital one, so all the documents need to be submitted online. Next, please. The document is to be filled one table per beneficiary and merge all the table into one PDF that you will upload. As a good tip, we ask you to keep offline copy of the document, because it might happen that at a second stage, we might ask you to submit the document via email, but not as a standard procedure. This is just a tip. The costs are estimated. By definition, it's a budget. So we are asking you to foresee what you're going to spend and for what activity. So you are here to give us an idea of the cost. They need to be filled in the white cells of the document. Next slide, please. In fact, if you have the white cell and you have to fill it for the cost that you foresee, you can fill it. If you don't have a cost foreseen, leave it empty. And if the column is or the cell is gray, you don't have to fill it. Include only the eligible costs that are mentioned in the call, and then provide your best cost estimates. Next, please. Let's go a bit more into the details of the detailed budget table. We are talking about a project, and the project has personnel cost, subcontracting, purchase cost, and other category, and finally indirect cost. They are all named as a category A, B, C, D, E, and those letters, you will find them again in the detailed budget table. Next, please. As you can see, personnel cost is not just one. You have different types of personnel cost. You have the A.1, which is the employees. Those are the people working for the organization, and they are to be budgeted on a monthly basis. And you can include, or you must include, to be precise, all the costs that are associated with the employee. So not just the salary, but also the social security contribution, taxes, and other remuneration-related costs that are required by the law. And so when you have to fill in the detailed budget table, I don't know, your project manager, Anna, working for the company, you will have to budget on a monthly rate per person and then describe the activity performed. At the later stage, but this is not for now, it's for later when you will come to reporting, you will have to report on a daily rate multiplied by the number of the equivalents worked for the action. So in this case, as you see highlighted, you have a daily rate that is calculated on an annual personnel cost per person divided by 15 days, and then you will have to put the number of days worked. So you budget in months and you report in days. Another type of personnel cost is A2, natural person under direct contract, and A3, seconded person. To give you an example, we have somebody like a freelance IT specialist that is a self-employed and that works under the supervision of your organization or your employee and is by de facto somebody working in the team. So these are what is the difference? The difference is that you have to budget just the costs that are related to the remuneration plus the taxation for the person. And this person works regularly with the team, which is different by, for instance, other personnel costs that we can see later. A seconded person is somebody who is actually borrowed by another organization. So in this case, you just report the cost associated with the activity. Next slide, please. You have the other type of category, which is A4, which is SME owners and natural person without the salary. This is somebody who has a startup and decides to work for the project and is not receiving a salary. The cost is eligible only if the owner of this startup is for real owner of the startup or the company, and it is declared in the portal. And the costs associated are unit cost on a daily rate, multiply the number of day equivalents working the action, and the daily rate is the one indicated in the commission decisions. Next slide, please. For the sake of this call, we saw that in the past, there was a question related to associated partners and third-party giving in-kind contributions. These are two similar, but not the same type of personnel. The associated partner is something that has been introduced recently in 2021-2027 calls and MFF, and they are participants in the program. They may implement action tasks within the project. There is no legal link required in the beneficiaries. The costs are not eligible, so they cannot be declared in the budget, but they need to be explicitly be named in the grant agreement. So in case you want to use associated partners, you don't have to budget them, but they need to be mentioned. The third-party giving in-kind contribution, they do not implement project tasks independently, so they need to be integrated in the team. They are not participants in the grant agreement, and the value of the contribution may be declared as eligible cost under certain conditions. Next slide, please. Of course, if you have questions, we are happy to assist you later. Let's talk about the category B, which is subcontracting. Subcontracting is something that you don't have in-house, something that you need for the certain activity and certain tasks. So you need to purchase goods, works, and services. These are related to the implementation of specific tasks. And the difference between the subcontracting and, for instance, in-house consultant is that the subcontractor works autonomously. So when it comes to budgeting subcontracting, you have to respect the certain conditions. These are limited specific tasks, so the core task of the project cannot be subcontracted. The task must be described in the description of the action, and the cost must be included in the annex too, so they need to be budgeted and eventually approved ex post. There is a threshold of 30% of the total costs, and these 30% can eventually be surpassed only if the project officer approves and the financial officer approves too. So be mindful of this threshold, and also be mindful about the type of task that is subcontracted. The golden rule for the subcontracting and procurement in general is that this needs to be best value for money, and there shouldn't be any conflict of interest. Next slide, please. The purchase cost, this is one of the, let's say, tricky part, the travel, the accommodation and subsistence. During your activity, you might have personnel traveling from place A to place B. And I repeat, personnel, not subcontracted staff. And they are traveling from point A to point B to implement a specific action, a specific activity of the action. They need to be planned. So in general, what we ask you to do is to submit in the detailed budget table the idea of the travels that you are going to do and you foresee. For instance, if you have to go to the kickoff meeting, you have to put in your detailed budget table a budget for this kind of travel. You can also introduce other travel, and they need to be budgeted according to the rules that are the unit cost. I'm going to get there in a moment, but before I go into the unit cost, what is important is that when the travel is in a destination that is not covered in the extensive list provided by the Commission decision, and the distance travel is less than 50 kilometers, you can then use the actual cost. While instead, if for the rest of the cases, you have to use the unit cost. Let's get there. And next slide, please. So here you have on the screen the table with all the distances and the amount for return trip, that is the unit cost that is in the decision or Commission decision 2024-5405. Why is this important? Is because this is the amendment to previous Commission decision. So when you will go to the page dedicated to travel on our website, you will have to look for the table number 3 related to this specific decision. Here you can see that you have an example of destination from departure, which is the place of activity, to the town of arrival, for instance, the place of the mission. Let's take the kickoff meeting. So in case you have to plan a travel from Ljubljana, for instance, to Brussels, what you have to do is to go on the flight and rail calculator, which is linked here and it will be available for you. And you have to introduce the 2 cities that are one of departure and one of destination. You will get the distance. And when you get the distance, you will have to look into the table for the specific amount in the bracket of the distance. At that point, you can introduce per person the amount as a unit cost. The same is for the accommodation and subsistence rate. You might have noticed that I mentioned before 50 kilometers, and here we have a distance of 400 and 600 kilometers. So what happened in between? Well, we have another unit cost that you can find in the commission decision. If this is confusing, we understand, but it's also something that we can help you later if you have questions, and we can discuss later. I quickly move to another purchase cost in the next slide, which is the equipment. It's category C2, and this is eligible equipment that needs to be new or second-hand. It could be renting or leasing of equipment. Of course, this needs to be linked to the action. And the basic rule is the depreciation, which will be automatically calculated when you put the numbers into the detailed budget table. The depreciation will be for the whole duration of the action, and the equipment must be recorded in the beneficiary asset register in accordance to international accounting standards, because this is also very important in case of future auditing. Lastly, we have category C3 in the next slide, which is other goods, works, and services. In case, for instance, you have to organize catering, or you have to rent a room for meetings, or you have to disseminate some information and you want to print leaflet, or you want to disseminate the information yourself, or you are looking for translation, publication. This is the category that you need to use to budget your cost. Again, here, what is important is that what is purchased needs to be needed for the implementation of the action, and the best value for money is the actual methodology. Last point is indirect cost, which is the usual overhead, which is the costs that are used for running the operation. For instance, if you have employees with laptop, this is where you want to, where the category falls. So this is a 7% flat rate, which is calculated automatically by the detailed budget table. And then all of them together, this category will lead to the total cost. And then next slide. The total cost will be the total cost, and the EU contribution will be 80% of the total cost. At the signature of the grant agreement, there is a pre-financing that will help you start with the activities, and it is, in this case, 70% of the maximum grant amount. It's an automatic process, and it is usually paid within 30 days from entry into force. And then the final payment is at the final report. As a general rule for all EU grants, the payments are done to the coordinator that will then distribute to the other beneficiaries. I thank you very much for your time, and if you have other questions, we are happy to answer them at a later stage.
Thank you very much, Jacopo, for this very interesting presentation. Again, I'm leaving here the QR code. We have noticed that we have already received some questions. You can see them already on Slido. And just a tip, if you see that there is any questions that you find particularly interesting, just you can like that. You can like the question, and this will then be prioritized, and we will reply earlier to the one that has more likes. This also allows that we don't have too many duplicates in the questions. And now that we have done, we have completed the main part of the presentation, we are going to the networking session in breakout rooms. I will share with you some rules and information on how you join these breakout rooms. Just take a bit of time to read through this slide so we avoid any technical issues. So the breakout rooms will open. We will open them. You will have a notification on your screen that invites you to join a room. You have to click on Join Breakout Session. you will see a list of 3 available rooms. So there is 1 room for RAD and 2 rooms for ADR. So ADR 1, ADR 2, you choose one of these rooms. Just keep in mind, we have 30 minutes for the breakout session or a bit less. And you are going to be able to change breakout session. So for example, if you stay there 10 minutes, you see that maybe it's not too interesting for you, you want to change a room, you can do that. Later on, also, for example, we have a breakout rooms on RAD, but we also incentivize joint applications RAD ADR. So if a RAD wants to go in an ADR group, they can do that afterwards. So you are able to actually change the rooms. So you click join next to the room that you prefer. Once you are inside the room, just have 1 or 2 minutes of patience, because the facilitators will manually unmute you. So you will be unmuted, and you can then speak and connect with the other participants. The idea is that you share there any ideas you might have for your proposals, and if you are looking for consortium partners, or if you want to get to know other participants. If you wish to move to another room, you can leave the session and join another one. And then when the breakout session ends, you will then be automatically returned to the main session around 11:30. So these are the main rules. I hope that you will all manage to join the breakout session that interests you the most. I will then ask to my colleague Paulina to actually launch the breakout rooms, and I will stop sharing my screen. We are back on the main session. So thanks for those of you that joined the breakout session. I will share again my screen and the presentation. 1 second only. Can you confirm that you can see the screen? Okay. Share. So many of you have already shared some ideas in the breakout session, and we hope that you find it useful. But now there is still a moment where you can still ask and share any doubt or ideas or questions you might have. Just use the Slido. So again, we are putting here the QR code. We have already received some questions, which now we will just read and ask to all the speakers if they want to interact or reply to. So for all the speakers, just unmute and feel free to jump in if there is any questions you would like to reply to, or if you want to add anything to the replies to other colleagues. We should be able now to see on the screen the questions. So they are in order of either chronological order, or in case, for example, the first questions, there have been a couple of likes, so they are prioritized automatically by the app. So is there a maximum amount that one single proposal can ask for? This is the first question that we have here on the screen. Does anybody want to reply to? Maybe my colleague.
Can you hear me?
Reply.
Yeah, this is more financial. Yeah, Petra.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just to say that there is no maximum amount per proposal. We have one global envelope for all the proposals, and the call is competitive. So if you ask for 50,000 euros, for example, or 200 euros, you are free to do it. So Mariangela, maybe you can comment.
Yeah, exactly. The only things that we want to clarify that thus we will refund only the 18% of the cost. That it will be our maximum grant amount refundable for you.
Perfect. Thank you very much to both of you.
Maybe if I may add actually, colleagues, because I believe we should also insist on the fact that if there is an important, a significant amount of money proposed for a single action grant, this action grant must be extremely good quality and importantly built on cooperation of several entities, be it ADR or qualified entities, because as said, it's competitive and we cannot afford giving big, I mean, let's say like half of the budget to a single entity unless it is absolutely perfect and fantastic project that will help the entire community for the future, I hope.
Thanks a lot. We go to the next question. The next question is, can I re-enter a proposal that was denied last year? And if yes, how can I make sure as far as possible that it is accepted this year? So there was one attendee that already had these questions during the breakout session, but I see there are 2 other participants that have liked it, so it might be applicable to several of you. And I give again the floor to my colleagues, Petra, Gorana, Stephanie, to elaborate.
Yes, so technically, I will not tell you exactly how to re-enter your proposal. I think under your account, you can view the proposals submitted under different calls, so you can probably go back and check your proposal. So you take the documents, you will especially see the outcome of the evaluation that we send to you, and you go criterion by criterion, you will try to for example, improve your proposal, add some more detailed description on a certain point, especially where you got less points or say more negative comment, and try to improve this way. Then, of course, we cannot ensure from our side that your proposal will be accepted, even though you do this work and you will try to improve your proposal as best as you can. Because as the call is highly competitive, we have both ADR and RAD entities that are competing for the grant. So indeed, you have to make sure that your proposal is as best as possible.
Anybody
There
else
was
want to
maybe
add?
just in the breakout session, there was a question if you can, for example, submit your proposal in advance, that we would provide you a feedback before the official deadline. Unfortunately, this is not possible. So once you submit, you can still withdraw or update your proposal if it is in the period within the deadline. But by end of the deadline, 21st of May, 5 o'clock, we close the call and you will not be able to render it and submit anything else. So be careful if you withdraw your proposal. You have to make sure that you will resubmit a new one, the corrected one, or the one that you want.
Thank you very much, Petra. Somebody else wants to add? Not, I go to the next question. The next question is, why is it necessary that ADR schemes and RAD qualified entities have to compete in the same grant procedure? Wouldn't it be more fair to have separate grants, since the actions might be quite incomparable?
I think what we can say is that the director's budget is quite limited, so we do it like this to entertain as much proposals as possible, and we also encourage in this way more quality or high quality proposals, I would say. But if, of course, Goshka wants to make what would like to say.
It's the same. These are policy objectives. You know that the European Commission for a long time is pleading for the coherence and complementary between different tools of enforcement and redress. That's why we are encouraging the joint calls of ADRs and qualified entities. As I reminded before, we strongly believe there are many of complementarities possible. You already may join forces, and the fact that the call is joint is also a proof of efficiency that we are aiming at on our side. Each and every call for action grants, it's an enormous work on ASMA side, organizational work. The evaluation process is very demanding. That is why we decided to join these, first of all, for policy reasons, so you know about each other, about each other's proposals, that you discuss among you, that you cooperate, that you present possibly common proposals, and second, to be efficient on the organizational side as well.
Thank you very much, colleagues. If nobody else wants to add anything, then I would pass to the next question. The next question is, the physical address of our office changed last year. How do we update this in the grant proposal? Do we need to get approved again? Nothing changed but the address.
No, I think they have to contact the ADR competent authority, and this authority will update the redress portal, the information on the redress portal about each ADR entity. And then I don't know whether there is another step in the grant, whether they should have their profile in your grant as well.
Yes, I confirm absolutely. They need to send the request and the update of the address. especially if I don't know if this person it will be coordinator, for example, for us, the address, it will be a legal address also for send official communication in case that we need it.
Yeah, usually it is possible to re-enter your account on the funding and tenders portal and go to the My Organizational Details and change the necessary details. But usually these are the LIR, the legal representative, the organization that can, or account administrator that can do these changes. So if you go to the portal, there are guidance and guidance documents, the guidance and manual and online manual. You can go to the participant register and data updates, and you will see, you will read the detailed information on how to do it on the portal. So this is the best way to do.
Thank you very much. The next question is a financial part, on the financial part. So which budget table file from the template folder should be used? When is a low value appropriate? I'm giving the floor to Mariangela. I think maybe you are the best suited to reply to this question.
Yeah, it's not really clear the question, but if I correctly understand, so as my colleague introduced on the presentation, the only budget table that you need to use for report the cost is the details budget table that you found as a template on the portal. Of course, we don't give possibility to use other templates for report the cost. Low value appropriate, I think, is referring to subcontracting. I don't know. It's not.
Or maybe really proposals that are below the threshold of 60,000 euros, if they have to use another template or if they can use the same template.
Okay, it's referring to this, yeah. But everything is clearly explained on the portal. So which template it's the one useful for you. But yeah, everything is explained on the portal. Yeah.
Perfect. Then we go to the next question. Is it obligatory for digital tools developed as part of the project to be accessible to other ADR and QEs? Does it also apply to the outputs from previous projects? I give the floor to Petra.
Normally it is not obligatory because the project results belong to you. However, as already said, we encourage the sharing of the results. So if you are willing to and you are open to share the results of your grant, this would be good. If this is not possible, then of course we cannot oblige you.
Yes, I may add, Petra, because it is particularly relevant for a RAD part. As Petra said, we cannot oblige you to anything. It is your project as far as it is replying to the call conditions. You are eligible and your projects are eligible. However, as again said, this is one of the priorities for the evaluation stage. And it was also one of the priorities within the previous calls for proposals, meaning that colleagues that benefited already in 2 last editions from this funding, they are supposed to share at least the information about their projects in the EU funding portal and EC-React. And we ask you this year edition to take your time and effort to go for that effort and check what has been already done in terms of digital tools and how you can build upon it. And it will be the same for the future, because it doesn't make sense simply to give and give and give and give money to different people for exactly the same things and to have at the end of the day maybe 7 different digital tools serving exactly the same thing. It's better to work on interoperability among them, to see how to adapt these tools to different cases, to different circumstances, to different national frameworks. But still, it really doesn't make sense from our perspective to repeat, overlap again and again the same projects. I hope it is understandable. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for complimenting Małgorzata. Then we go to the next question. Is there any threshold for each project proposal? This was already replied to previously, so there is no threshold, as Petra already mentioned. So if there is anybody that wants to add, otherwise I complete the question and go to the next one.
I think that we already answered on with the first question.
Exactly. Can one ADR enter several proposals? Yes, this is possible. Each proposal will be evaluated independently. Does anybody want to add any detail here?
Yes, maybe just to add that the proposals should be different. So not that you submit the twice the same projects. So this goes also with the costs. You can't declare the same costs under 2 projects. For example, this has to be always a different action.
Thank you very much, Petra. The next question is this call open to financing projects presented by ADR bodies that also carry out of court dispute settlement body, ODS, activities pursuant to Article 21 of Regulation 2022-2065? Thank you.
Yes, so I would say that, first of all, the eligible bodies are those which are on the consumer redress portals. We are aware that some ODS settlement bodies under the DSA are also ADR entities under the ADR directive, so of course they can also apply if so. But this call is only limited to the actions which are under the ADR directive in terms of awareness raising of the ADR directive, not for instance, of the DSA. So even the digital tools that we mentioned, of course, in case that the same entity uses the same tool, for both directives, of course, this would be eligible. But only the actions which fall under the ADR directive are to be covered by this call. So unless the ADR entity which wrote this question would like to have more clarity, I think it's better to get back to us in writing to make sure that we are on the same page on this, because it's quite clear that only the ADR elements should be covered by this call.
Thanks a lot. So if you want further clarification on this point, send us an email. You have in the presentation 2 functional mailboxes, one from DigiJust and one from ISMEA. We encourage you to use them. I will pass to the next questions. Can an application be submitted by an ADR established within a public authority?
I think yes, this would be a public ADR body, public entity. However, if you have any doubts on the organizational arrangements within your public authority, then the best is to send us an email, explain how it is, and we may see if we can give you any particular advice. But normally, to be eligible, the whole entity should be eligible as an ADR body.
So just read carefully through the eligibility criteria. What do you have to that you actually need to be notified as an ADR body. If you have further doubts, you can send a question to our mailbox and we will clarify. Can a proposal be submitted for a project already started by the ADR? In case of approval of the proposal submitted, the funding covers also expenses occurred between the date of application and the approval.
So I think that for this question, we need to refer on the specific article, the Article 4 of the grant agreement, where is specified clearly the duration and the starting date of the grant, and is also clearly specified that the starting date affect the eligibility of the cost. So in effect, also under the Article 6.1, you will be able to see that the costs are considered eligible only when are incurred in the project period set out on the Article 4, and of course are considered eligible only the cost incurred for implement the action during the life of the project.
Thank you very much.
Just to complement, when you have already a running projects at this moment, and you would like to apply for a grant for this project, so this won't be possible to fund it anymore because the period it already started, so it must be something in the future.
Exactly.
Next question is, a public authority that is designated by national law to be qualified to propose representative actions, but is not on the EU list of qualified entities, can be part of a consortium?
Yes, the call is open to all qualified entities designated by the member states, both for cross-border actions and domestic actions. Unfortunately, the EU list of qualified entities is the one of qualified entities designated for cross-border actions only. Therefore, there are other qualified entities designated at national level for domestic actions that are not visible in this EU list. In other words, being listed in the EU list of qualified entities designated for cross-border actions is not a condition for being eligible in this call for proposals. You need to be designated in your member state. If you are designated as public authority by the law, you simply prove it within your application. You refer to the relevant provision of national legislation, ideally translated, and then it will be taken for granted that you are a qualified entity designated. I allow myself, I think, to respond to the next one. Yes, absolutely. We want you to build consortia among ADR entities and RAD qualified entities. It is very much welcome to have consortia of these two types of entities.
Thank you very much, Malgorzata. We have the last two questions.
Yeah, I start to smile on this question.
It's for Mariangela. Is it necessary to have such a complex system for travel? It is really burdensome in terms of planning, although thank you for the calculator.
So it's not only necessary, it's compulsory, but come on, I don't think it's really appropriate to call him complex system, because at the end it's really facilitation that the Commission decision give to all of you, and is also an advantage because the possibility to use unit cost for traveling is an advantage, in which sense sometimes the amount is much more than the normal actual cost eventually really incurred for your travel. So it's just question to understanding which table it's referring to your calls, and just reporting the unit cost referring on it. And of course, the calculator is one of the facilitator for you, because when you introduce the destination from to, you will be directly addressed on the unit cost. So really, don't worry. Theoretically, it's difficult, but in practice, it's not so complex.
And maybe I want to add a little bit to what Mariangela just said. The fact is that by definition, it's a planning. You can already foresee your travel, but then all those travel can happen also later during the project. So it's not such a strict planning that you have to budget right now. At the same time, it's very good practice that you already plan all the travels and you have an idea of the budget that you have to allocate to such travels.
Exactly. At this stage, we would just ask to you to really give the best estimation of the cost on traveling. So eventually just thinking on the fact, okay, how much I want to frozen at this stage for the future travel needed for the implementation of the action. So it's
and
it's
also
just, yeah, tell me.
sorry. Be mindful about the fact that it's travel cost and it's broken down into travel, which is the actual means of transportation, but then you also have accommodation and subsistence. Those are three separate costs that needs to be budgeted for one travel.
Thanks a lot for the exhaustive reply. We go now to the last question. Do applicants need to be non-profit organization to receive funds?
I checked on the calls, but no, it's not mentioned. So no, absolutely. So it's possible to.
It depends on RAD side. It depends a little bit on the national criteria for designation of qualified entities. So if it is a condition at national level to be non-profit organization to be designated as qualified entity, then of course once you are designated, you need to comply with this criteria. So you are the non-profit organization. But as colleagues are saying, it is not a condition per se. It is not a condition for ADR entities, and you may have national authorities being designated as qualified entities as well.
Exactly. But of course, I think that we give the occasion just for underlining that the rules of non-profit. So grant may not give a profit, of course. So this is something that you need to keep in mind.
If I may complement to the eligibility, but overall, because we had already cases where, for example, applicants, they consider themselves as ADR or RAD qualified entities, but in fact they were in the process of the designation, which was not yet finished. So just be careful that by the deadline of or by the time you submit your proposal, within the deadline, your organization has to be designated as ADR body or RAD qualified entity. The best is also to, if you are not sure, to provide us with a proof of your designation. Like this, we have. It is pretty clear.
And this was our last question. Thanks to everyone, thanks to all the colleagues for being here today and for giving very interesting presentation. And most importantly, thanks to all participants that joined us today. I will give the floor to my colleague Gorana for some closing remarks, but just for you to know, you will receive a follow-up email with the presentation in attachment and with a link to the EISMEA's events page where you can see the recording of this info session if you want to still re-listen to some parts. And we have asked during the registration, we have asked you whether you are willing to share your details, name, email address with the participants, just for networking sessions in case you want to use these emails for building consortia, reaching out to each other. For those of you that have replied yes, so that they have given their consent, we are going to include your name and share it with only among the list of attendees, of course. Thanks a lot from my side, and I give the floor to Gorana for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Salva. I would like to thank everyone for attending our info session today. We hope that it was useful for you and that we managed to answer all the questions that you have. Please know that you can still questions via email. It is mentioned also in the call text, both technical questions linked to the call, also IT questions. So please do not hesitate to reach out in case of any questions. Please read the call document carefully, check the templates before submitting, and we are looking forward to receiving your interesting proposals. Thank you very much once again.
And to finish up, please take a moment to reply to our survey. This always helps us to tailor the next info sessions so that they are always useful and bring added value to you. We always take your feedback into account. So just complete this survey. And we thank you already in advance for that. And have a great lunch break and good luck to everyone.
Good luck. Bye.